Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well. Now, in this final video where we go to the final guest of this cross-party select committee meeting to discuss the protocol on Ireland, it was the turn of MLA for Sinn Fein, Declan Kearney, to give evidence. And surprise, surprise, Declan Kearney didn't disappoint by giving just as an amazing speech exposing a catastrophic Brexit for everyone within Great Britain, not just in Northern Ireland. Just like Matthew O'Toole and Sorcha Eastwood did, but just like the previous guest before him, he told the board that if there is no Brexit, there will be no need for a protocol. He also criticised the Prime Minister Boris Johnson, his cabinet, and also the Democratic Unionist Party, and I must admit especially the DUP, for weaponising and playing games and conflating the implementation of the Northern Ireland Protocol that was voted for and given approval of in the House of Commons.
Good afternoon and welcome back to this public meeting of the Subcommittee on the Protocol on Ireland, Northern Ireland. We now continue our engagement with the five largest political parties in the Northern Ireland Assembly after the Assembly elections on the 5th of May. Our third and final witness today is Declan Kearney, Sinn Fein MLA for South Antrim. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us, and we very much look forward to hearing your evidence. Today's meeting is being broadcast, and a verbatim transcript will be taken for subsequent publication, which will be sent to you to check for accuracy. And I refer to the list of members' interests as published on the committee's website. And perhaps I could begin the session by asking if you would just set out Sinn Féin's overall position in relation to the protocol. And once again, welcome and thank you very much for joining us.
Well, Maria Steve Galliera, Sockton Corio Hort, do they live on Trinona and you agus Cornchek Lunder and McCree and Jay Shaw Glaku Con Jargu Parchi Soganya a Coralaher. So thank you all very much for your kind invitation, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. Yes, I'm very happy to briefly summarise Sinn Féin's position on the issue of the protocol. Our position fundamentally stems from our opposition to Brexit. We believe that were there in fact no Brexit, there would be no need for the protocol.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
The Democratic majority in the north of Ireland in 2016 voted to remain within the EU. Our own party campaigned against that position being adopted. We forecast at the time that Brexit would not only be a catastrophe for the people in the north of Ireland, but for the island economy overall. And indeed, and I was one of the Sinn Féin spokespersons most to the fore in making this point, we highlighted that it would in fact be a disaster for citizens in England, Scotland and Wales, and that the repercussions for workers and their families in Ireland would be equally impacted for workers, families and businesses in the British state itself. And as a consequence of Brexit and the engagement between the British government and the European Union, the process to try and deal with some of those worst implications led initially to the decisions around the backstop under the premiership of Theresa May. That agreement was unceremoniously dumped, and as a consequence of moving beyond that position, the negotiation around the withdrawal of the British state arrived at the point of the protocol. I would much rather that there was no Brexit. As a consequence, I would much rather that there was no need for a protocol. But it is our party's very firm view that the protocol is not only an integral part of an international agreement which has now been struck and therefore must be accepted and complied with, but it is our view that it is the only and the best way to mitigate the worst effects of Brexit for people living in the north of Ireland and the island and across the island in its entirety. So the protocol which exists is a necessity. It is an integral part of international law. It is integral to an international treaty which has been made and struck, and therefore it must be accepted by all parties to that agreement. And we have a protocol impasse at the moment. I think that that is unnecessary. I think that a considerable amount of fiction has been generated around the issue of the protocol itself. And on the part of the Tory government, which is one net contributor to the fictionalising of the protocol and the weaponising of the protocol, we've also seen how the Democratic Unionist Party and some other sections of political unionism in the north of Ireland have also used the protocol for entirely illegitimate purposes by attempting.
Yeah, as I said, both Miss Eastwood and Mr. O'Toole said exactly the same thing. Quite a pattern developing, isn't there?
Attempting to conflate the issue and the implementation of the protocol with constitutional issues that do not, in fact, have any relevance or application to the current situation. Therefore, Chairperson, I would say in conclusion that we have a protocol. It is a necessary requirement given the circumstances that we've all had thrust upon us by the decisions of the Tory government. We need to see the smooth implementation of that protocol. The impasse should end. This British government should adhere to the treaty which it signed, to the agreement which it negotiated.
Don't you think James Bumbling Fumbling Cleverly's excuses that we should not ignore the minority voices going to hold any water here then for you, Declan? Probably not. An idiot, isn't he?
And get on with the business of implementing the detail of the protocol, of which it is a co-signatory. And that can only be accomplished if there is the requisite good faith engagement by the British government with the European Commission, which I believe is prepared to take the necessary steps to ensure that we do in fact see smooth implementation of the protocol, but it is going to require the British government to go the extra step. And therefore, the cant and the sabre rattling of recent times and the latest iteration of the cant and sabre rattling which we have heard over an extended period, that must discontinue. And we need to see that this British government and the relevant principals engage in a proper way with the European Commission to secure and achieve the landing zones, which I believe and Sinn Fein believes are available to ensure that the protocol is smoothly implemented and that the net benefits that will accrue from the protocol to the north of Ireland, to the regional economy and to the island economy overall are indeed optimised. I hope that's useful by way of some opening remarks.
That was very useful indeed.
Again, totally agree with everything he said about Brexit. The protocol and all three MLAs say the same thing about this extreme Brexit Tory government and the DUP with their games that they're playing with the Northern Ireland Protocol. It was like therapy for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But as I say, I do hope you enjoy these little videos, I know I did. And I shall probably do the same when the doolally party's hoving to view. Should be fun if nothing else, But right, I shall leave the video and I hope you have a wonderful weekend and I shall bid you farewell. And until the next time, take care and have a good weekend.